everybody. So since starting my translations website, High Peaks Pure Earth, at the end of 2008, I've been monitoring Tibetan cyberspace and the evolving use of internet and social media by Tibetans inside Tibet and the PRC. And from seeing quite active and vibrant blog activity by Tibetans for a few years after 2008, I've been really alarmed by the shrinking space of the internet in China and the trend, which has been really the move away from blogs and more open platforms to almost exclusively WeChat these days. And of course, this whole time period that I'm talking about, Tibetan activity online has been subject to very tight controls and restrictions. And broadly speaking, the Chinese government uses 3 tactics to control internet and mobile communication, which is censorship, arrest and imprisonment, and also complete internet shutdowns, communication shutdowns. And these can be triggered by protests, online posts, even other forms of communication or searches about content which is deemed to be politically sensitive. So these could be topics such as related to Tibet or the Dalai Lama, for example. And there are many examples of online activities having serious offline consequences. In 2014, 2 Tibetans in the Tibet Autonomous Region were handed 7- and 5-year prison sentences for the crime of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. And they did this by posting anti-fur photos in a WeChat group, which comprised of 15 people. Tibetans have even been arrested and imprisoned for storing images in their phones, for example, of the national flag, or for discussing topics on WeChat, such as the elections of the Tibetan government in exile. And in particular, we see the criminalizing of information sharing, especially in relation to self-immolation protests. And this criminalizing leads to a very real fear on the ground. And just over the weekend, 2 days ago, a young male in Ngaba County in eastern Tibet carried out a self-immolation protest. And according to Radio Free Asia, the government response has been to impose a lockdown in the area with internet communications blocked. And according to one source, the authorities want to prevent the news about the self-immolation protests spreading. And because of this tense situation, Tibetans in Ngaba have even requested their friends and relatives abroad not to have any contact with them for the moment. Access to information remains a key issue for Tibetans inside the infrastructure of the PRC internet. And there are already search engines such as Baidu that give censored results. And in fact, in 2016, China launched a Tibetan language search engine, which is called yongzin.com. And if you look at the interface, it bears more than a passing resemblance to Google. And as it was reported on at the time, the search results are heavily censored. And the head of the Yongzin project was even quoted in state media as saying that some foreign Tibetan language websites provide inaccurate information. So we developed this search engine to link curious Tibetan-speaking netizens with accurate information provided by government-approved news portals. So that's really very blatant what their aims are for this search engine. So there's really no need for another search engine that will return heavily censored search results. And what I'd like to end on is that by saying that official data shows that Tibetans are actually gaining more access to broadband, mobile phones, and faster cellular data, but this is not equating to greater freedoms or better access to unbiased information.